Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. And after all the gentleman's agreement drama of the last few days, it was only a matter of time until at least one team found themselves on some sort of blacklist for practice in the near future. This one though, not even on Snaking apparently, but on another GA that came into effect the other day, which seemingly one team or one player has been abusing to quite some effect according to OpTic's. What is this team? Who is this player? What are the details? We're going to dive into it all today. Very much enjoy your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. First of all, Fantasy is live. The boys have been working flat out, honestly, on the website over the last several weeks and months, really, to make Fantasy work for the launch of the game. It's back and it's bigger and better than ever this season. Okay, similar idea. We've got loads of upgrades and improvements we want to make over the course of the season, but there's loads of different ladders and leagues you guys can get involved in now. So there's a big prize pool over the course of the season. It's the same as normal. The season's about to start. It's this Friday that the matches begin. Pick 4 players, $25 budget. You guys know the vibe if you played it last year. However, there's other contests you can enter. So this one, CDL Major 1 qualifiers and tournaments, that is the normal thing that you can do for the Major 1 qualifiers and tournaments. People are putting their teams in. There's also, however, which you guys definitely want to get involved in because this is where the big money is in for the entire season at the very least, the keeper season team, basically. So you pick one team for the entire year is the idea, and then at the end of the season, somebody is going to win. There's also some just for Major 1 come the end of January, so don't worry about those immediately. This one is funny though, worst team wins. So this is a specific league where you have to try and choose who you think is going to be the worst team possible. You'll win $69. There might be some other prizes as well. I'll definitely roast you in a video, or congratulate you, I guess, as the time comes. So, look, I haven't made my teams for this yet. I will be doing so over the coming days. I need to think about it, and, I mean, look, there's big money on the line for this one, so I better put in some research to figure out what I'm going to do. Quickly, on CleanX as well, he was former Seattle Surge coach. He's actually joining Legion to coach with Theory and analyst JP Digits, which is really cool stuff, but also I'm like, what's going on at Vegas and what's going on at Gorillas that they signs an analyst, an assistant coach, and a head coach, and now Legion, you know, these are the poverty orgs, you know what I mean? Okay, well, Gorillas didn't used to be a poverty org until not that long ago, but great for CleanX. I mean, obviously he was on Surge, got a bit of flack right for not making the decision to get Gwyn in, which maybe he should or should not have done. That's a debate, but yeah, so he's joining Legion with Theory and an analyst. So, you know, what's going on Legion, right? Why have they got all these stuff? It's good for the scene, but I'm just a bit confused why the staff are, you know, all coming out of the woodwork now. But to be honest, the organizations know more staff generally is correlated over the last couple of years with better results. We've seen that from Toronto, we've seen that from New York, we've seen that from FaZe, for example, as well. And OpTic are now kind of getting on that boat as well with Karma and JP over there. This is a different JP to JP Krez, who is working on the OpTic side. And maybe Vegas have a similar idea on this one. Couple of clips as well from the rotations. They put on a couple of $1,000 tournaments yesterday. This was such an incredible clip here from Parasite. You guys probably saw this one flying around. So they're getting smoked on this invasion, hardpoint to be fair. But he sees this guy, I think he calls this DVD or something, and just runs right past him. And then he gets shot in the back and is like, wow, where did this guy go? I can't believe it. Now, what actually happens here is that Parasite looks up at his minimap for like a good while. I mean, you guys could just about see right here, he's looking up at his minimap in the top left corner, and he just runs right past this guy without looking, and just here is when he looks back at his screen. It reminds me of a clip, I think it was Embo's back in the day. I don't know if this is COD Ghosts or, like, we're talking it's an old school clip. Only maybe a handful of you guys will know what I'm talking about, and I've tried to find this clip a couple of times, but I can't find it. But Bose blinks as somebody crosses, so he's like holding a cross on a certain map, and he blinks just as the guy goes, and then his teammates get shot in the back or something. And then if you look at his face cam, you can see that he blinked just at the moment the guy crossed. But for this one, yeah, Parasite, I guess, expected the guy to actually flank. Looks at his minimap for a good 3 seconds, and that entire time he just walks right past the guy. So, you know, that doesn't happen particularly often. But let's talk about GAs. I know the OpTic guys were also saying, and Kenny seems to be convinced that the Slate Reflector does more damage or shoots straighter than the other ones. I'm not convinced by this personally. I actually use the circular one. It's like what the bar used to be back in, I don't know if you guys remember World War II, but it's like a circular one. I actually kind of prefer that. But I don't know, Kenny thinks the Slate Reflector might need to get GA'd because apparently it's too good, and it Dashy's hands, I mean, everything looks pretty good, to be honest. But that's probably not going to be GA'd. However, snaking is GA'd. Now, with the snaking GA, we've talked about it a lot over the last few days. okay, there's been some instances of snaking going around, and it will continue to be a controversial point, no doubt, throughout this entire season. However, with the snaking GA, there were also other things added to the GA list, one of which was sound equalization. We know that last season it was a big talking point online. The CDL officially banned it on LAN, but in online league matches, people were definitely sound EQ cheating. Now, it's not as big of a deal in this game because dead silence is a thing, but as Nadeshot found out here, if somebody is sound EQ cheating you and you climb up a ladder or you reload or you swap weapons or something like that, then it can still be somewhat problematic. I mean, yeah, did this guy sound EQ hear him? I don't know, but probably without sound EQ, he doesn't get that ladder sound cue. I don't know, but still, sound EQ, we want it to be gone. The pros have agreed not to use it in online matches. Whether they stick to that, that's the question, because snaking, it's pretty clear. If somebody snakes, you can at least see it. There's obviously going to be a debate on, was that a snake? Was that not a snake? Did he do it 3 times? Did he just do it twice? Is twice fine? Is once fine? You know, people tend to say that, all right, 2 snakes is okay. The third one, that's where we kind of draw the line. But even then, I'm sure some pros kind of disagree on that. But the problem is that for sound EQ, how can you tell for sure if somebody's using it? You can't unless you go into their settings. Snaking you can see with your own eyes. But sound EQ, tough to say. Same story with single tap sprint. And this was the other big drama that Pred has talked about over the last couple of days on teams breaking GAs on the sprint settings. So the pros also agreed at the same time snaking was gone to ban single tap sprint or single tap to tac sprints and also automatic tac sprints. So ATS has been a GA for some time. The single tap sprint is also a thing that the pros have kind of added as well to the GA list. Now, the reasons for this are somewhat unclear. Some amateur players actually want single tap sprint to be allowed, but don't want auto tac sprint to be allowed. A lot of the players, such as aBeZy, he's been very much on the board of like, look, let's expose the movement merchants, and if you want to tac sprint, you've got to double tap it. Sure, that might destroy your controllers, that might destroy your left thumb, but that's what a lot of the pros want to play as, and therefore that's basically the rule they have in place. However, some teams tend to disagree with this, it seems, and apparently there's been a team going around using single tap to sprint over the last several days, despite the fact that it's GA'd, and when it's GA'd, you know, gentlemen's agreement is, the pros have agreed not to do it, it's nothing that's going to get mandated by the league, but if it's broken, then that's considered by the pros to be cheating, and therefore they will get blacklisted from scrims as a result. The issue that I have with this, in a way, is that how can you tell for sure? Pred and OpTic might think that this team is using it, and maybe they are. Maybe probably they are. But you don't know for sure. If somebody snakes, you can see it. If somebody's using ATS or like single tap sprints, are they just cracked, or is their movement just, you know, really impressive? It's a big question. But anyway, this is what Pred says. Firstly, kind of revealing who it is, or at least giving some clues as to who it might be, and then saying, yeah, well done, guys. Well, that was fun, and you were moving like an MVP. We're now not going to scrim that team anymore. Who could it potentially be?
It's not. My bad, Ken.
I know somebody.
Yeah, I already. I actually know someone is running it today in scrims. Holy. He was moving. He hasn't been in the league for 3 years, and he's moving like he's been the MVP for the last 3. No, nothing. Let's go. Who are we picking?
Who was it?
No, nothing. I'm gonna give him one more chance before I start clipping. My Twitter's gonna be clips. Where's Hugh, dude? He probably doesn't want to play. Oh my god, that's actually hell. But yeah, today, bro, we scrimmed some people that will be running that auto attack shit, or like that single tap, bro. Oh my god. They didn't go. That's it, because we ain't scrimming them anymore, I can tell you that.
So initially when Pred said, oh, you know, you haven't been in the league for 3 years and now you're back moving like the MVP, people thought it was GodRx. And to be honest, there aren't that many candidates for what Pred says. Like, lots of the players in the league have either brand new or they are, you know, been in the league for the last several years. It's not that, you know, there's not many players that have been out of the league for some time and now are back in. So there's only a few candidates. We'll discuss them in a second. But apparently Dashy said that it was Miami. Bit torn on this one because apparently he said that it was Miami, or basically he said that the team that did it doesn't speak English. But again, I do wonder because, you know, is that team actually using it or not? And let's say they are, you know, how do you tell for sure? And also, this is the other issue, that let's say this is scrims. Sure, Miami Heretics, let's say it is them, and OpTic have decided not to scrim them and basically added them to their blacklist. Do other teams agree? Do other teams also think they're using it? Or is that just OpTic who had a feeling that they were using it? And maybe they were, but we don't have any clips to analyze. OpTic aren't going to practice against them anymore, but if Miami is still getting good practice off other teams, then they turn up to the league matches. You know, are they going to turn it off? Are they going to keep it on? Especially online league matches, there's no way to enforce it. I'm sure that there will be questions raised this season and probably very early this season when teams or individual players look particularly good and they maybe made a nice bit of movement and players are like, okay, did he actually double tap to tack sprint there or did he just single tap to sprint? Who really knows? So this is the inherent problem with these GAs, is that some of them are difficult to enforce. The snaking one of all the GAs is actually arguably the easiest. So hopefully that at least can be upheld. Whereas I'm not so convinced, to be honest, that the single tap to sprint GA will be able to be successfully upheld throughout the season, because you know, that gives you a marginal, maybe quite significant competitive advantage, but it's something that's so hard to realize and enforce. It's just a feeling thing from the pros that the other team is doing it. But who could Pred potentially be talking about here, right? So if we just go through the rosters, it can't apply to FaZe. We're talking about someone who was in the league a few years ago and now isn't anymore. It doesn't apply to FaZe. It can't apply to Boston, nor to Surge, nor to New York, nor to Thieves, nor to Ultra, nor to Rocker, really. I mean, there's no one that fits the bill on Rocker. Then I've got OpTic. So then you've got, okay, Legion also doesn't apply to because Attach, Nero, Standy have been around a while. Purge is a rookie. So the only three teams can be Miami, Gorillas, and Ravens. Gorillas, the only one it applies to, I guess, is DiamondCon because he was around in Cold War. So he's had, what, 2 seasons pretty much out of the league, kind of. So maybe it could apply to him. Obviously, we talked about GodRx on the Ravens would potentially apply to him, but apparently Pred then said afterwards that no, it wasn't GodRx. I wasn't calling him out. So that kind of just leaves Miami, which is also for Miami, it's kind of true. JurNii, Lucky, MettalZ, those 3 guys were in the league back in, well, even pre-CDL. And to be fair, Lucky and MettalZ were technically in the league in the Modern Warfare 19 season on the Toronto Ultra. They were on the bench, I'm pretty sure, that season at the time. So, yeah, they have technically been out for like 3 seasons. So it's kind of, it's either got to be Heretics or it's got to be GodRx on Ravens, I would think. And apparently it's not GodRx on Ravens. But then Dashy responded in some chat. I don't know who he was talking about here. People said that he was talking about Miami. I don't know. And he says they're clean. Now it should be they are clean, but you know, whatever, forgiven. So I don't know. Who are they talking about? Who have they added to the blacklist? It's an interesting question. But Pred seems to say that somebody is on the OpTic blacklist. And if they're on the OpTic blacklist, then possibly they could be, you know, they could find themselves on a further blacklist from other teams as well, if other teams think they are also using the sprint, so, you know, single tap sprints. But if they're not, then, you know, it creates a question. So this is the thing with some of these GAs. The snaking one, sure, I think you can reasonably well enforce it. The other ones, I think it's significantly problematic, and especially when we get to online cards, that's going to raise questions. And it's like what happened last year with SoundEQ, when somebody was using it, every other team knew that they were using it, but they couldn't, you know, stop it necessarily. They couldn't really GA it, and they felt that even if they did try and come up with a GA, someone would probably use it anyway. So it just descended into chaos and everybody used it. You know, tragedy of the commons, I guess. Just the other thing to mention, though, is that on the single tap and ATS GA vote, the only team that didn't vote on this, now, just to say, because they didn't vote, it doesn't necessarily mean that much, just because once 11 teams have agreed, there's no point you saying anything because, you know, you can agree or disagree, but it doesn't matter because 9 of 12 have agreed. But when Zuma was doing this the other day, the only team that didn't vote to GA single tap and ATS was Carolina, apparently, at least as of when this screenshot was taken. So maybe just something in that, but intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Just before we close out the video, I thought this was really interesting, actually. On opening series records in CDL history, we are going into the 5th year. Most of these teams have played 4 kickoff matches, right? Of course, the likes of OGLA and stuff, that an Empire that no longer exists. Boston are undefeated in their opening matches so far. They're 2-0, the only team to have never lost one. But they play FaZe, first match of this year, so that's not going to be so easy. Crazy thing, actually, is Subliners. They're 0-4 in their last 4 years of matches, and apparently they've been swept in every single series, which is kind of wild. So, yeah, and they play their first game is against OpTic, which is actually very interesting. So definitely very much looking forward to the matches getting underway this upcoming Friday, but very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.